Hello students, welcome to the zoology class. As a part of your fourth paper's zoology syllabus, the cell biology is included. In that cell biology, today we are going to discuss about the ultrastructure of animal cell. Okay. మీ యొక్క ఫోర్త్ పేపర్లో జువాలజీ ఫోర్త్ పేపర్లో భాగంగా జంతు కణశాస్త్రం గురించి చేర్చడం జరిగింది. అందులో భాగంగా ఈరోజు మనం జంతు కణం యొక్క అతి సూక్ష్మ నిర్మాణం గురించి మనం ఈరోజు తెలుసుకుందాం. Dear students, all of you know that cell is the structural and functional unit of life. It is the structural as well as functional unit of the life because it helps in the structure of the organisms. Okay, it is the fundamental unit of the structure of organisms, and it works as a unit, so that it is not only the structural unit, it is also the functional unit. Okay, that is called cell. What is cell? Cell is the structural and functional unit of life is called cell. Okay, మరి కణం అంటే ఏంటి? జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణాత్మక మరియు క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణాన్ని మనం కణం అని చెప్తాం. ఇది నిర్మాణాత్మక ప్రమాణం ఎందుకు అవుతుంది? నిర్మాణాత్మక ప్రమాణం ఎందుకు అవుతుందంటే జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణంలో కనీసం ఒక కణమైనా ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి అది నిర్మాణాత్మక ప్రమాణం. అంటే జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణంలో అది తోడ్పడుతుంది. ఏకకణ జీవుల్లో అయితే ఒకటే కణం ఉంటుంది, బహుకణ జీవుల్లో కణాల సంఖ్య పెరుగుతుంది కాబట్టి అది నిర్మాణాత్మక ప్రమాణం. అదేవిధంగా ఇది క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణం ఎందుకంటే ఈ కణం ఒక యూనిట్గా ఏదైనా జీవక్రియ నిర్వహించబడుతుంది కాబట్టి ఇది క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణం కూడా. ఈ విధంగా జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణాత్మక మరియు క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణాన్ని మనము కణం అని చెప్తాం. ఓకే, ఈరోజు మనం జంతు కణం యొక్క అతి సూక్ష్మ నిర్మాణం గురించి మనం ఈరోజు తెలుసుకుందాం. Okay, today's topic is what? Ultrastructure of animal cell. జంతు కణం యొక్క అతి సూక్ష్మ నిర్మాణం. ఓకే, ఓవరాల్గా మొత్తం కణంలో ఉండే కణాంగాల గురించి బ్రీఫ్గా తెలుసుకుందాం ఈరోజు. కాబట్టి దీన్ని అల్ట్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ అని పిలుస్తాం. జంతు కణం యొక్క అతి సూక్ష్మ నిర్మాణం. ఓకే, dear students, myself B. Srinivas Reddy, Assistant Professor of Zoology, working at Government Degree College, Hayatnagar of Rangareddy District in Telangana State. Okay, today's topic is ultrastructure of animal cell. Okay, so before going to know about the ultrastructure of animal cell, let us know about what is cell. Just now I told what is cell. Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. What is cell? Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణాత్మక మరియు క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణాన్ని మనం కనబడతాం. అంటే జీవి నిర్మాణంలో మాత్రమే తోడ్పడం మాత్రమే కాకుండా జీవి యొక్క క్రియలలో ఇది ప్రధాన పాత్ర వహిస్తుంది కాబట్టి దీన్ని క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణం అని పిలుస్తాం. ఓకే, ఇట్ నాట్ ఓన్లీ హెల్ప్స్ ఇన్ ద స్ట్రక్చర్ ఆఫ్ ఆర్గానిజమ్స్, it also helps in the functions of organisms, so that it is called structural and functional unit of life. Okay, జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణాత్మక మరియు క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణం ఎందుకంటే కనీసం ఏకకణ జీవులు ఒక కణమైనా ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి లేదా జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణానికి తోడ్పడుతుంది కాబట్టి నిర్మాణాత్మక ప్రమాణం అని. అదేవిధంగా కణం ఒక ప్రమాణంగా జీవన క్రియ నిర్వహించబడతాయి కాబట్టి దాన్ని క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణం అని పిలుస్తాం. ఓకే, ఈ విధంగా కణం అంటే ఏంటి? జీవి యొక్క నిర్మాణాత్మక మరియు క్రియాత్మక ప్రమాణాన్ని మనం కణం అని పిలుస్తాం. ఓకే, సో సెల్ ఈజ్ వాట్ ఇస్ సెల్? Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Okay, that is the definition of cell. Okay, then study of cells means study of the structure and function of cells is called. Cells means cell and its cell organelles. Study of the structure of cell and structure of cell organelles and functions of cell organelles is called cell biology. Okay, what is cell biology? Cell biology is the study of structure and functions of cell and cell organelles. Okay, కణము మరియు కణాంగాల యొక్క నిర్మాణము మరియు విధుల గురించి తెలియ శాస్త్రాన్ని కణశాస్త్రం అని పిలుస్తాం, సెల్ బయాలజీ. ఎర్లియర్ ఇట్ వాజ్ నోన్ యాజ్ సైటాలజీ. ఇంతకుముందు దీన్ని సైటాలజీ అని పిలిచేవారు, ప్రస్తుతం సెల్ బయాలజీ అని పిలుస్తున్నాం. ఓకే, సైటాలజీ అంటే ప్రధానంగా స్ట్రక్చర్ మీద కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేస్తుందని భావించేవారు, కానీ ఫంక్షన్స్ కూడా తెలుసుకుంటున్నాం కాబట్టి సెల్ బయాలజీ. ఓకే, all the activities we are knowing by this branch, so that it is called cell biology. Okay, so what is cell biology? Cell biology is the study of structure and function of cell and cell organelles is called what? Cell biology. Okay, కణము మరియు కణాంగాల యొక్క నిర్మాణము మరియు విధుల గురించి తెలియజేసే శాస్త్రాన్నే మనము కణశాస్త్రం అని పిలుస్తాం. ఎర్లియర్ దిస్ బ్రాంచ్ వాజ్ నోన్ యాజ్ సైటాలజీ. ఇంతకుముందు దీన్ని సైటాలజీ అని పిలిచేవారు. ఓకే, మరి కణాన్ని ఎవరు కనుక్కున్నారు? హూ డిస్కవర్డ్ ద సెల్? Cell was discovered by Robert Hooke in the year 1665. In the year 1665, he observed a thin slice of cork under microscope, and he found some chambers. He observed some chambers and named it as a cell. Okay, each chamber is named as a cell. Why it is named as cell? Some monks, they live in some small chambers. Monks, they live in small chambers called cells. In the same manner, these chambers were there, so that they were named as what? Cells. Okay, so like that, Robert Hooke in the year 1665 not only observed or discovered the cell, he also named it as the cell. Okay, then ఈ విధంగా 1665వ సంవత్సరంలో రాబర్ట్ హుక్ అనే శాస్త్రవేత్త బెండు కణజాలాన్ని పరిశీలిస్తూ బెండు కణజాలంలో అనేక గదులను గమనించడం జరిగింది. ఈ గదులు ఏ విధంగా ఉన్నాయంటే, కొంతమంది మంక్స్ లేదా సన్యాసులు జీవించే గుహలు లేదా చాంబర్స్ గదుల మాదిరిగా ఉండడం వల్ల వాటికి కణం అనే పేరు పెట్టడం, సెల్ అనే పేరు, మంక్స్ హౌసెస్ ఆ విధంగా ఉంటాయి కాబట్టి ఉండేవి కాబట్టి ఆ విధంగా సెల్ అనే పేరు పెట్టడం జరిగింది. ఓకే, ఆ విధంగా మరి ఇతను ఏ కణాన్ని పరిశీలించడం జరిగింది? కార్క్ మీన్స్ వాట్? కార్క్ అంటే బెండు అంటే ఏంటి? మొక్కలలో కనిపిస్తుంది, మొక్కలలో ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి లైక్ దట్ హీ అబ్జర్వ్డ్ ప్లాంట్ సెల్స్. ఫర్దర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాన్ లివింగ్ సెల్. ఓకే, రాబర్ట్ హుక్ అబ్జర్వ్ చేసినటువంటి సెల్ ఎటువంటి సెల్? అతను అబ్జర్వ్ చేసిన సెల్, the cell which was observed by the Robert Hooke it was a plant cell and it was a non-living cell. Okay, but the first man who observed the living cell and animal cells, the man who observed the living cells and animal cells was Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Okay, who observed the animal cells for the first time? Anton van Leeuwenhoek in the year 1674. Okay, so Robert Hooke was discovered the cell. He was observed plant cells and died cells, but not living cells. The living cells were first time observed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek in 1674. Okay, he observed many cells of the animals like sperms, bacteria, many other cells. Okay, he observed many cells, living cells and animal cells. Okay, like that, the man first who observed the living animal cells was Anton van Leeuwenhoek. ఈ విధంగా జంతు కణాలను మొట్టమొదటిసారిగా అధ్యయనం చేసినటువంటి శాస్త్రవేత్త ఆంటోనీ వాన్ లీవెన్హాక్ 1674వ సంవత్సరం. ఓకే, బిఫోర్ going to the ultrastructure of the animal cell, let us know about what is cell theory. There is a theory called cell theory. It states that all the organisms are made up of one or more cells. If it is unicellular organism, it is made up of a single cell, or if it is a multicellular organism, it is made up of many cells. Okay, so there are two postulates in this cell theory. One is what? One is all the organisms. All the organisms are made up of cells. One or more cells. Minimum how many cells? One cell. Some organisms, most of the organisms may have more cells. Okay. Some have only one cell. They are unicellular organisms. Okay, like that. So this is the first postulate of the cell theory. What is the first postulate of the cell theory? All the living organisms are made up of one or more cells. Okay, that is first postulate of cell theory. Another principle of the cell theory is what? Cells are the basic units of life. Just now we learned that cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Like that, they also said what they have said, cells are the basic units of life. Okay, like that, these are the two postulates of the cell theory. Okay, according to cell theory, what the cell theory is saying here? According to the cell theory, all the organisms are made up of either a single cell or many cells, and these cells are the basic units of life. This was said by the cell theory, and this cell theory was proposed by M.J. Schleiden in 1838 in plants, and Theodor Schwann in 1839 in animals. Okay, Schleiden said what? All the plants are made up of cells. That is cell theory in plants. Cell theory in plants was given by Schleiden. Okay, M.J. Schleiden. Cell theory in animals was given by Theodor Schwann. Okay, like that, plant cell theory came in 1838. And Schwann observed even animal cells and proposed the cell theory in animals also in 1839, the next year. Like that, they together formulated this theory, the cell theory, who M.J. Schleiden and Theodor Schwann together proposed this cell theory. Schleiden in 1838 and Schwann in 1839. Schleiden in plants and Schwann in animals. Okay, so this was the cell theory. And this cell theory was later advanced by or modified by some other scientist, that is Rudolf Virchow. Rudolf Virchow said, or he concluded the cell theory, or he advanced the cell theory as all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Rudolf Virchow said what? All the cells, they arise from pre-existing cells, or omnicellulae e cellula. Omnicellulae means all the cells develop from cells only, previous cells only. Okay, this statement was added by Rudolf Virchow. Like that, the cell theory was developed by the three scientists, M.J. Schleiden, Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow. Like that now, so that cell theory, this is traditional cell theory. This is the traditional cell theory which was proposed by Schleiden, Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow. So these are the three statements of cell theory. Now, after Rudolf Virchow's adding, three statements will be there. That is, all the living organisms are made up of cells. One cell or minimum one cell or many cells. And the cells are the basic units of life. And all the cells come from what is that? Pre-existing cells. Omnicellulae e cellula. Okay, so this was the cell theory. Nowadays, the cell theory is modified in many ways. Okay, but we are not going to discuss about that now. So just have discussed only traditional cell theory here. Okay, so exceptions to cell theory. So these are the exceptions to cell theory. That means the cell theory is not applicable to these organisms. For example, viruses. Viruses, they are connecting links between living things and non-living things. When they are outside the host, they are non-living. When they come into the host, they become living. So that they are intermediate between what is that living and non-living things, so that viruses cannot be considered as cells. Viruses. Cell theory is not applicable to viruses, because viruses, if they are present outside the host, they are non-living, they are treated as non-living organisms. In the form of crystal, they are present. So that they are treated as non-living organisms. When they come into the host, they become what? Active, and they are treated as organisms. So that when they are present outside the host, they are non-living, and when they are inside the host, they are living. So that These are the intermediate organisms between what living things and non-living things, so that always they are not living, so that they are not considered as cells. Okay, so cell theory is not applicable to viruses. Okay, then the first cell. What is the first cell? Prokaryotic cell it was. The first formed cell on this earth was prokaryotic cell, so that it didn't come from pre-existing cell. It came from non-living things. Okay, the first cell came from non-living things, so that also cannot be treated as cell. Okay, like that. This is the exception for that one. Okay, first cell also. For the first cell also, first formed cell. For the first formed cell also, the what is the cell theory is not applicable. Okay, because this cell was not came from what? Not came from living or pre-existing cells. It came from non-living things. Okay, so that cell theory is not applicable to even this one. What is that? The first cell. Plastids. Inside the cells, some plastids are there. Mitochondria, chloroplasts, they are present. Especially chloroplasts are called plastids. Mitochondria also there. They contain some, what is a chromatin, and they have genetic material. Okay, and they have semi-autonomous in nature. They are semi-autonomous in nature. That means they can produce, or they can, one mitochondria can produce another mitochondria. One chloroplast can produce another chloroplast. So that they are called semi-autonomous organs. Though they contain DNA, though they contain ribosomes, though they contain, though they are eligible, or they can reproduce, they are not considered as cells. Okay, they are considered as what? They are considered as now cell organelles or bioplasts now. Okay, like that. This is about cell theory and types of cells. Coming to the types of cells, there are two types of cells are there. Cells are of two types. What are the two types of cells? Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Cells are basically of two types. Prokaryotic cells, that means the cell which is without a nuclear membrane around its DNA. Okay, the cell which is without nuclear membrane around its DNA is called what? It is a prokaryotic cell. If the DNA of the cell is surrounded by a nuclear membrane, then it is called a eukaryotic cell. Okay, that is the fundamental difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. What is the fundamental difference? In the prokaryotic cell, the DNA or genetic material is not surrounded by a nuclear membrane. That means the genetic material is naked one. If the genetic material is naked, that means what? There is no nuclear membrane, then it is called a prokaryote. If the genetic material is covered by some nuclear membrane, it is called a eukaryote. Okay, like that. The prokaryotes not only lack the nuclear membrane, they also lack some membrane bound organelles. Okay, a membrane bound nucleus is not there. A membrane bound cell organelle is also not there. Just they have what? Just they have a genetic material, that is DNA or RNA, and they have, what is that? Ribosomes. Just they have genetic material and ribosomes only. Cell organelles are absent. Cell organelles are absent in prokaryotes. In eukaryotes, not only the nuclear membrane, nucleus is present, and cell organelles also there. Membrane bound cell organelles also there. Like that, prokaryotes and eukaryotes differ with each other. Okay, so what is the basic difference? In prokaryotes, nuclear membrane is not there, and DNA is naked there. Okay, and that naked DNA is called a nucleoid. Okay, then what is nucleoid? The DNA with its surrounding cytoplasm is called nucleoid. No nucleus is there. If no nucleus is there, it is called prokaryote. If nucleus is there, it is called as eukaryote. And not only the nucleus, they also lack what? Say membrane bound cell organelles. So membrane bound cell organelles also absent in prokaryotes. That membrane bound cell organelles are present in eukaryotes. Okay, these are the differences between the few differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Example for prokaryotes are archaea, bacteria, archaeoorganisms, small microbes, bacteriums comes under what? Prokaryotes. Example for eukaryota, protozoa and metazoa. All the animals, protozoans and all the multicellular animals. Protozoans are unicellular animals and metazoans are multicellular animals. Okay, like that. These are all the animals are what is that? Eukaryotes. Okay. Okay. See the difference between this. This is prokaryotic cell and this is eukaryotic cell. You see, nucleoid just what is the DNA is naked. There is no nuclear membrane. There is no nuclear membrane around the what is the DNA. Nuclear membrane is not there around the DNA, so that and the DNA with its some cytoplasm together called nucleoid. Only nucleoid is there. Nuclear membrane is not there, and DNA is naked here. Okay, and here you see nucleus is there, nucleolus also there, a nuclear membrane is there. Around the DNA, what is there? A nuclear membrane is there, so that a definite nucleus is there. A definite nucleus develops as DNA is surrounded by what is nuclear membrane. Like that. So nuclear membrane is present, nuclear membrane is not present, DNA is not naked here, DNA is naked here. Okay, nucleus is present, only nucleoid is present. So this is the basic difference between prokaryote and eukaryote. And also cell organelles, like you see, cell organelles, ribosomes are there, mitochondria are there, then endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex. So all the cell organelles are present in eukaryotic organisms. But in prokaryotes, cell organelles are absent except for ribosomes. Only ribosomes are there. They also of 70s type. Here 80s type ribosomes are present. Okay, so this is the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Like that, cells are of two types, either prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Okay, let us discuss about the size of the cells. Cells, what is the size? They range from 1 micrometer to 100 micrometers. And prokaryotes are very small. They range from 1 to 10 micrometers. Eukaryotes range from 10 to 100 micrometers. Okay. Largest cell is the ostrich egg. It has a length of 175 millimeter. Okay. Largest cell. Largest cell is the ostrich egg. Longest cell is the narrow cell. పెద్దగా ఉండే సెల్ ఏది? ఆస్ట్రిచ్ గుడ్డు. లార్జెస్ట్ సెల్ is ostrich egg, and longest cell is narrow cell, and smallest cell is mycoplasma. Mycoplasma, it is a moneron, small microbe, and its size is 0.3 micrometers only. Okay, like that. Generally prokaryotes are small in size, eukaryotes are somewhat larger in size. Compared to prokaryotes, eukaryotes are somewhat larger in size. Generally, the cell size ranges from 1 micrometer to 100 micrometers. And prokaryotes are very small. They range from 1 micrometer to 10 micrometers. And eukaryotes are somewhat bigger than prokaryotes. And they range from 10 micrometers to 100 micrometers. Largest egg is largest cell. Largest cell is what? Ostrich egg. Largest cell. What is the largest cell? Ostrich egg. Ostrich గుడ్డు ఉంటుంది కదా, అది చాలా పెద్దదిగా ఉంటుంది. Egg can be compared with one cell. You know, ostrich egg is the largest cell, and it is 175 millimeters in length. Okay. Smallest cell is mycoplasma. Small microbe. It is a moneron, and it has 0.3 micrometer size only. Okay. Generally, why cells are small in size? Generally, cells must remain small in size. Cells must remain small size regardless of whether they belong to prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Cells must be smaller. Why cells must be smaller? If cell is bigger, if a cell is big in size, it will be difficult to exchange the materials. It will be difficult to exchange the materials between cells, between its surroundings, or between their from their environment or surroundings. Okay, so if the cell is big, If the cell is big, it will be difficult to exchange the materials, nutrients or waste material, whatever it may be. It will be very difficult to exchange the materials if the cell is big, so that cell must remain small. Okay. ఎందుకో కణం చిన్నదిగా ఉండాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. కణం పెద్దదిగా ఉంటే ఒకవేళ ఆ కణాలు వాటి యొక్క పరిసరాల నుండి అవి పోషక పదార్థాలను గ్రహించడానికి కానీ లేదా ఈ కణాలలో ఉండే విసర్జన పదార్థాలను వాతావరణం బాహ్య వాతావరణానికి పంపించడానికి కానీ చాలా ఇబ్బందిగా ఉంటుంది. ఎక్స్చేంజ్ చేయడం చాలా కష్టం అవుతుంది. కాబట్టి కణాలు సాధారణంగా చిన్నవిగా ఉంటాయి. ఓకే. మానవులు తీసుకుంటే కమింగ్ టు హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్, human body contains, adult human body contains trillions of cells. Many cells are there in adult human body. Trillions of cells are there, and there are about 210 cell types are there. 210 రకాల కణాలు ఉన్నాయి. ట్రిలియన్ల కొద్ది కణాలు ఉన్నాయి. ఓకే. ట్రిలియన్ల కొద్ది కణాలు మానవుని దేహంలో ఉన్నాయి. ఓకే, లైక్ దట్. దిస్ ఈజ్ అబౌట్ ద సైజ్ అండ్ నంబర్ ఆఫ్ సెల్స్. ఓకే. So these are the different relative sizes of the cells. Okay. Here అన్నిటికన్నా ఇక్కడ frog egg 1 millimeter ఉందండి. Frog's egg is 1 millimeter diameter. Then this is ultrastructure of animal cell. So you see the cell different shapes it may be there. So cell is surrounded by a membrane. It is surrounded by a membrane called plasma membrane or plasma lemma. And in the center of the cell, a nucleus is there. In the center of the cell, nucleus is there. Inside the nucleus, what is there? A nucleolus is there. From the nucleus arising some net-like structure called endoplasmic reticulum. This endoplasmic reticulum is of two types: smooth endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Golgi apparatus is there. Mitochondria is there. Then centrioles are there. Okay. Microtubules are there. Like that, many lysosomes are there. Like that, vacuoles are there. Like that. So these are the cell organelles. What are the cell organelles? This is what? This outer covering is what? Plasma lemma or plasma membrane. Okay. Then in the center, what is there? In the center, what is there? Nucleus is there. And this part, remaining part, except plasma membrane nucleus, that is called cytoplasm. Okay. The fluid matrix of the cell is called what? The fluid matrix of the cell is called cytoplasm. Inside cytoplasm, many cell organelles are there. Inside cytoplasm, many cell organelles are there. Okay. We will discuss one by one later. Okay. So let us see the parts again. This is plasma membrane, the surrounding layer. Outer layer is plasma membrane. This is mitochondria. This is nucleus. This is nucleolus. This is nuclear membrane. This is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This is rough endoplasmic reticulum. Mitochondria, microtubules, centrioles, lysosomes, Golgi vesicles or Golgi apparatus, pinocytic vesicles, like that. So many cell organelles we will find in a eukaryotic cell. Okay, let us discuss one by one. Shape of the cell. Cells may be of different shapes. They may be cuboidal, columnar, oval, spindle, flattened, discoid, polygonal, elongated. Like that, they may be in different shapes. They may get different shapes according to their environment or their necessity, their need of the body parts. They got different shapes. For example, here biconcave, RBC are biconcave. You see, red blood cells are biconcave. Columnar epithelium, cylindrical, spindle-shaped cells, ovoid or spherical cells, polygonal cells, bone cells, elongated cells, narrow cells, like that. They may be of different shapes. In different shapes, like cuboidal shape, columnar, oval, spindle shape, flattened, discoid, polygonal, elongated, like that. Cells may be in different shapes. Okay. Parts of animal cell. Animal cell has three parts: outer cell membrane, it is also known as plasma membrane, and inner cytoplasm. Except for the nucleus, it is called cytoplasm. Inside the plasma membrane, except for the nucleus, it is called cytoplasm. What is cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is the fluid matrix of the cell. fluid or living matrix of the cell is called what is cytoplasm. Okay, and nucleus, largest cellular organelle is called is what? Nucleus. Largest cell organelle is what? Nucleus. అన్నిటికన్నా అతిపెద్ద కణాంగం ఏదంటే కేంద్రకం. Okay, what is protoplasm? The cytoplasm and nucleus together called as protoplasm. Okay, what is protoplasm? Cytoplasm and nucleus are together called as protoplasm. It is the living part of the cell. Okay, what is protoplasm? Is the living part of the cell. Okay, cytoplasm కణద్రవ్యము, అదేవిధంగా కేంద్రకాన్ని కలిపి ప్రోటోప్లాజం అంటే జీవద్రవ్యం అంటాం. జీవం ఉన్న ప్రాంతాన్ని మనము జీవద్రవ్యం అని పిలుస్తాం. లైక్ దట్ cytoplasm and nucleus together makes what? Protoplasm. Okay, so these are the parts of cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. Okay, let us discuss one by one. What is cell membrane? It is the outer covering of the cell. Outer covering of the cell is called cell membrane or plasma membrane or plasma lemma. What is the function? It separates the protoplasm of the cell, protoplasm of the cell from extracellular fluid. Okay, just it compartmentalizes the what is that cells, or it forms the cell. It forms the boundary of the cell. Generally, it forms the boundary of the cell. Like that, it separates the protoplasm of the cell from extracellular fluid. So that is the major function of this one. Okay, like that, it is helping the shape and it maintains the territory of the cell. Okay, like that. So this is plasma membrane, and it is 75 to 100 angstrom units thickness. In thickness, how much thickness it has? 75 to 100 angstrom units thickness, and it is selectively permeable membrane. Okay, just now we learned that plasma membrane is the outer covering of the cell, and it is semi-permeable or selectively permeable. What is selectively permeable? It allows only few materials. Okay, it allows only few materials which are necessary for the cell, and it doesn't allow the materials which are not needed for the cell or toxins like that. So it allows only few materials through it to pass, so that it is called selectively permeable membrane, so that it acts as a barrier. Like that, plasma membrane not only forms the border of the cell, it also acts as a barrier. Okay, like that, so that it is called as what? Selectively permeable membrane, so that it is selectively permeable barrier. Okay, then it appears as a bilayer. Okay, how many layers are there? Bilayer structure. Bilayer structure it has. 2 lipid bilayers are there. And okay, what are the 2 layers here? One lipid layer. This is another lipid layer. Inside the lipid layers, proteins are there here and there. This blue colored one, proteins. Yellow colored, lipids. How many lipids in lipid layers are there in the plasma membrane? 2 lipid layers. This is one lipid layer. This is one lipid layer, and this is one lipid layer. Okay, 2 lipid layers are there. Like that, it is a bilayered structure, and proteins are inserted here and there only. Okay, proteins doesn't make a layer. Only lipids make 2 layers, so that it is a bilayer. Okay, so like that, plasma membrane, it is made up of what? It is made up of lipids and proteins. Plasma membrane is made up of lipids and proteins, and the function of plasma membrane is it helps in transport and adhesion. Transport of the materials. The major function of the plasma membrane is transport of materials across it. Okay, and also helps to adhesion. Atukkodam, cells adhesion, to adhere with each other. Cells adhere with each other by this plasma membrane only. Okay, like that. So cell membrane is also called as plasma membrane, and it separates the protoplasm of the cell from the extracellular fluid, and it is about 75 to 100 angstrom in thickness, and it is a selectively permeable membrane. Like that, it acts as a barrier, and it is made up of 2 lipid layers, bilayer, and it is made up of lipids and also by proteins, and it helps in transport and adhesion. Okay, this is about the cell membrane. Cytoplasm. What is cytoplasm? You know, what is the fluid matrix of the cell is called cytoplasm. It fills the cell, excluding the nucleus. Except nucleus, the remaining part is called inside the plasma membrane. Inside the plasma membrane, inner to the plasma membrane except the nucleus, all the material is called cytoplasm. Okay, what is cytoplasm? Inner to the plasma membrane except the nucleus, all other material is cell organelles or other liquid material is called as what? Cytoplasm. Okay, cytoplasm bears what? It bears what? Cell organelles. Okay, so and it is the site of glycolysis. Respiration of first step. The first step in respiration is what? Glycolysis. It occurs in here only. Glycolysis occurs in here only. In cellular respiration, there are 4 steps are there. First one is glycolysis. Second one is oxidative decarboxylation. Third one is Krebs cycle, and fourth one is electron transport. Among these 4 steps, the first step of cellular respiration, that is glycolysis, occurs in cytoplasm only, so that it is called cytoplasmic respiration also. Okay, so it is the site of glycolysis, and it is the site for HMP, hexose monophosphate pathway, and it is the site of protein synthesis, and it is the site of fatty acid synthesis, like that. So many biochemical reactions occur in cytoplasm. So, and it also maintains the pressure of the cell. Cell pressure. మన eyes లో pressure ఉంటుంది కదా. In the same, our eyes also have pressure due to some fluid, aqueous humor and vitreous humor. In the same manner, here the cytoplasm also maintains the pressure of the cell so that cells will not shrink. Okay, like that. So that is the another function of the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the site for many biochemical reactions like glycolysis, HMP pathway, protein synthesis, fatty acid synthesis. It also maintains the pressure of the cell, like that the cells will not shrink. Okay. Nucleus. What is nucleus? Other than cytoplasm, inside the plasma membrane, what is that? Nucleus is there. A spherical structure. Generally, it is a spherical or oval in shape, and generally it is the largest cell organelle. You know, just now we learned that. What is that? It is the largest cell organelle, and it measures 6 micrometer size, bigger one, and it has a genetic material. Okay, it houses for genetic material, controls the cell activity, so that it is called control center of cell or head office of the cell. All the cell activities are controlled by this nucleus only. All the cell activities are controlled by this nucleus only because it contains some genetic material, that is DNA. So that DNA, you know that DNA controls all the activities with the help of mRNA. By giving mRNA, DNA controls protein synthesis. Okay, control all the cell activities by synthesizing many proteins, like that. So that it is control center of the cell, head office of the cell. Nucleus is called what? Nucleus is called control center of the cell and the head office of the cell. Okay, like that. So it contains a genetic material, and the parts of nucleus. If you observe the parts of nucleus, it has a nuclear membrane. Nucleus has a bilayered nuclear membrane, and nucleoplasm. Inside the nuclear membrane, what is there? Liquid is there, that is a nucleoplasm, and net-like chromatin is there. DNA is in the form of chromatin. Genetic material is in the form of chromatin and a nucleolus. These are the 4 parts of a nucleus: nuclear membrane, outer nuclear membrane, and nuclear sap or nucleoplasm, and chromatin, nucleolus. Okay, like that. Number of nucleus here. How many nucleoli are shown here? Only one nucleolus is shown in this diagram. Sometimes there may be 2 nucleoli. Maximum how many nucleoli will be there in the nucleus? 2 nucleoli will be there. 1 to 2 nucleoli. Okay. Endoplasmic reticulum. See this nucleus. See the nucleus. From this nucleus arising some net-like structure called endoplasmic reticulum. Some part has a rough surface and some part has smooth surface. This rough surface is due to what? Presence of ribosomes. Okay, like that. Endoplasmic reticulum arises from what? Endoplasmic reticulum arises from nucleus, and it is surrounded by some ribosomes. If it is surrounded by ribosomes, it is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. If it is not surrounded by ribosomes, it is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It is also called cytoskeleton. It supports the cell. It is a membrane bound system, so that endomembrane system supports the cell, so that it is called cytoskeleton. Okay, how many types of endoplasmic reticulums are? Why it is called endoplasmic reticulum? It is present towards the nucleus, inner side of the nucleus, or endoplasm. It is present in endoplasm, not in ectoplasm, inner cytoplasm, so that it is called endoplasmic reticulum. Why it is called reticulum? In the form of a net, it is called reticulum. So that, okay. How many types of endoplasmic reticulums are here? 2 types of endoplasmic reticulums are there. Rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum bears ribosome, and smooth endoplasmic reticulum is without ribosomes. And as rough endoplasmic reticulum is made up of covered with ribosomes, it helps in protein synthesis, whereas smooth endoplasmic reticulum is without ribosomes, so that it helps in protein synthesis, but it helps in fatty acid synthesis, steroid synthesis, detoxification, like that. Like this is about endoplasmic reticulum. It is a net-like structure. Golgi apparatus also there. Another cloud-like structure called Golgi apparatus is there. All the materials which are synthesized in endoplasmic reticulum are get transported into Golgi complex. Okay, it is like a post office. Golgi complex is like a post office. Why it is called in post office? What? All the parcels will be tagged and they sent to their addresses. In the same manner here, the materials are the proteins which are synthesized by endoplasmic reticulum are sent to the Golgi complex. Then Golgi complex packs all the materials either in the form of lysosomes or in the form of secretory vesicles. Okay, so packaging, then secretion. So the main function of Golgi complex is what here? Packaging and secretion, like that. So Golgi complex is structurally it resembles what? It resembles somewhat what is the endoplasmic reticulum, and it takes all the materials coming from endoplasmic reticulum, especially proteins, and it is packaging all these materials, and these packages are known as lysosomes or secretory vesicles. Okay, like that. It also helps in lipid transport. So the primary function of Golgi complex is what? To secrete materials. Okay, or synthesize lysosomes. Ribosomes are there. These are flat and spherical structures, and then they attach with ER sometimes. And these are called protein factories. Okay, what are protein factories? The ribosomes are called protein factories because DNA gives some message to mRNA. Messenger RNA. That mRNA comes to the cytoplasm and attaches with these ribosomes. With these ribosomal units, 2 units are there. Larger subunit and smaller subunit. In between these units, mRNA, the filamentous mRNA attaches here and helps in protein synthesis according to its genetic information. A genetic code will be there. On mRNA, and that mRNA comes here and attaches to ribosomes and to produce proteins. So that as the ribosomes are helping in protein synthesis, they are also called protein factories of the cell. And ribosomes are made up of proteins and RNA. Okay, ribonucleoprotein particles. Ribosomes can be called as what? Ribonucleoprotein particles. Okay, so what is the main function of these ribosomes? To synthesize proteins, so that they are called protein factories. Mitochondria, you know very well about this organelle. It is a rod-like or spherical organelle, and its size can be compared with the size of bacteria. Generally, it is about 0.5 to 1 micrometer size will be there. They're also called powerhouses of the cell because these mitochondria, they contain the enzymes for Krebs cycle. Mitochondria contain the enzymes for Krebs cycle, beta oxidation of lipids, and deamination of proteins or amino acids, like that. By Krebs cycle, with the help of Krebs cycle, they produce ATP, electron transport also. They produce ATP, so that as they are producing ATP or energy currency, they are called as powerhouses of the cell. Why? They produce ATP. Mitochondria helps in respiration. They help in Krebs cycle or electron transport. Thus, they produce ATP, so that they are called powerhouses of the cell. They have 2 layers, outer layer, inner layer, and inner layer has many foldings. And mitochondria the specialty of mitochondria is what? It is a semi-autonomous organ because it contains DNA. DNA will be there. DNA is present in mitochondria, so that ribosomes also there, that is protein machinery is there, so that it can synthesize some proteins, and it can produce its own daughter mitochondria, so that it is called as a semi-autonomous organelle. Okay. Then lysosomes are there, some bag-like structures, teeny bags are there, filled with hydrolytic enzymes, and these enzymes work only at acidic pH, and these are single membrane bound. Till now we have studied the Golgi complex or endoplasmic reticulum or nucleus, they are double membrane bound, but here it is single membrane bound sac, a small sac filled with enzymes called hydrolases. How many enzymes are there? There are about 40 enzymes, more than 40 enzymes are there. More than 40 hydrolytic enzymes are there. They are very small in size, 0.1 to 0.5 micrometers in diameter. All these enzymes work in help for what digestive purposes, and so that the lysosome is called digestive system of cell. Lysosome is called digestive system of the cell, and helps in endocytosis, takes the materials by endocytosis and autophagy, and they're also called suicidal bags of the cell. Lysosomes are also called as suicidal bags of the cell, because sometimes they also digest our own cells, so that they're called suicidal bags of the cell. Okay, that is important here. That is digesting the own cells also important, so that they're called suicidal bags of the cell. Other cell organelles are there. Lastly, let us discuss peroxisomes. Some smaller single cell bound cell organelles, peroxisomes are there. They contain enzymes for lipid metabolism and a hexose monophosphate pathway. What is the function of peroxisomes? They help in lipid metabolism and hexose monophosphate pathway. Cytoskeleton, along with endoplasmic reticulum, other structures are known as cytoskeleton. They are microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments are there. They give structural support to the cell, so that they are called cytoskeleton. What are cytoskeleton here? Microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments. And cilia and flagella also there. You observe on some protozoans also, and these cilia and flagella arise from the cells, and they are structurally similar, but cilia are more in number and small in size, whereas flagella is large in size, long in size, and few in number. That is the difference between cilia and flagella. Cilia are more in number, flagella are few in number, and cilia is small in size, flagella is long in size. Okay, they help in movement of the cell or organism. Okay, what is the function of cilia and flagella? Cilia and flagella help in the movement of the cell or organism. Okay, then microvilli, same small projections, finger-like projections are there on the cell surfaces. They are called microvilli. These villi arise from the plasma membrane, and they are called microvilli, and they help in increasing the absorptive area of the cell. What is the function of microvilli? They help the absorptive area of the cell. Okay, like that. These are other cell organelles like peroxisome, cytoskeleton, cilia, flagella, microvilli. Okay, like that we have discussed about different cell organelles. So what are the cell organelles we have discussed here? Different cell organelles we have discussed, like plasma membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, mitochondria, Golgi complex, lysosomes, centrosomes. Centrosomes also there. They are useful for cell division, like that. Then vacuoles also there, peroxisomes, lysosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, like that, microtubules. So this is about the ultra structure of animal cell. With this, I am concluding this lesson.